Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm not outside Old Trafford. I'm not in my I am in my kitchen. I was going to say I'm not in my kitchen. No, I'm not in the studio. I am in my kitchen. And the weather outside in not so sunny Salford is pretty drizzly. So if you've got your parkers, you may want to put them on. A few stories to get through on this Sunday morning. There's a big story doing the rounds about Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's given an interview and he's spoken about his injury problems. And also, he sort of looked at the United's role in this. Obviously, Luke Shaw missed a lot of games last season, didn't he? I think he played around half the games that he was available or should have been available for, I should say. If we're looking, just having a quick butcher's look, as they say, at his record last season. He played 12 Premier League games, 15 games in total, so he missed well over half there. And he's sort of been explaining why that is, why, what happened, why did he end up missing so many games. And he's basically said that it was a sort of, it's his fault and the club's fault. So he says, I felt something against Aston Villa and came off at half time at Villa Park. And then he went on to say, it's kind of everyone's fault, partly my fault, partly medical staff. I think everyone would admit that. I didn't train the whole week. The scan came back and there wasn't much there, but I didn't train all week. Then train the day before the game. If the manager asked me to play, I'm never going to say no. I shouldn't have played. So remember, he came back and he's talking about the Luton game here because he came back for that game, if you remember, and then he was injured again. So he's sort of saying, look, it's not just my fault, it's the medical staff as well. Maybe they should have been a bit better. I do sympathise with him a little bit in the sense that I do feel he was rushed back, and obviously if you come back and then you're injured again, it's obvious you should have been given more time. You should have taken more time. He has to take some responsibility. I mean, if he's telling the staff, yeah, you know what, I can play, then that's partly on him, but also the medical staff too. The issue you've got with Luke Shaw is it's just difficult to feel maybe the level of sympathy you should for a player who's injured when he's missed, well, going off the stats I've just read, basically 2/3 of the season, and then when the Euros is here, he's going to play for England in the Euros. I get that it's not as simple as, oh, well, he didn't want to play for United, didn't want to play for the Euros. I said this a few months ago on one of the paper talks there. Time is linear. This isn't a Christopher Nolan film. If someone's not injured, or someone is injured, they can then be not injured as time progresses. That's what's happened. It's not like he wasn't fit for Manchester United or he was fit for England and then he wasn't fit for Manchester United. It's not like the other way around where you go, hang on a minute, something going on here. He's not been fit, then he gets fit. That makes sense. It's just annoying because he's missed the entire end of Manchester United season, including, of course, the FA Cup final, and then he plays for England in the Euros. It looks like he's going to play for England in the Euros. Now, listen, had United lost the FA Cup final and had you looked at it and gone, if we'd have had Luke Shaw who won it, you'd probably feel a little bit more aggrieved, but we didn't. We won it. He's probably a little bit miffed he didn't play. Everything works out well in the end. The question is, can you rely on Luke Shaw if you're Erik Ten Hag or whoever the new manager is going to be? I don't think you can. I think his injury record, not just last season, over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, hasn't been great. I'm looking at it here now. The season before last, the season, Erik Ten Hag's first season, 47 games in all competitions. Fantastic. However, the season before that, 27 games in all competitions. Again, it's not great. The season before that, 47 again. Very good. The season before that, 33 in all competitions, including just 24 in the league. So he does miss a lot of football. He has missed a lot of games. In the last 3 seasons, for example, he's missed over half the games, I think, or around half the games. You can't rely on that. You can't rely on someone, no matter how good they are, as a defender especially. Wingers, you can kind of rotate and you mix it up a little bit, but you want your back four to be relatively settled. And if you've got a left back that seldom plays or only plays half the games, or in the case of last season, plays a third of the games, that's not good enough. Get involved in the comments in the chat and let me know what you think, because what could happen here with Luke Shaw? You can have a great Euros. We saw it at the last Euros. It's fantastic. It's got a goal in the final and everything, didn't it? Come back, you think, okay, this is it now. And then sometimes he doesn't really show that form for United, or it takes him a little while to get going, or he gets injured again. Don't get me wrong. There are times when he's been phenomenal for United. I think when he's on form and when he's fit, he's the best left back in the league. The problem you've got is he's not always fit and he misses a lot of games. And sometimes it takes him a little while to get going. Let me know what you think. Speaking of England, Gareth Southgate, this name linked to the United job will not go away. There's an article here in the Express. I think there's another one in the iPaper as well. It says Manchester United could reap the rewards of England crashing out of the Euro 24 in the group stages. The three lions will travel to Germany, hoping to win the Euros for the very first time, but an early exit could boost United's search for a new manager. Erik remains in the post for now, but United are still mulling over whether he is the right man to lead them into next season. It is thought that a decision on his future will be made once United have completed their end-of-season review, which is taking longer than expected. United are wildly, probably more apt, believed to have drawn up a list of managerial candidates in the event of Ten Hag being relieved of his duties. England boss Gareth Southgate is at the top of that list, according to The Independent, with United confident that he would be interested in joining them. Now, I've seen a couple of articles and posts saying this. Peter Hall, I think, writing for the INEOS, he said there's interest in Gareth Southgate from some people inside Old Trafford, that they are actually looking at him. Dave Brailsford and I think Dan Ashworth have looked at Southgate. But it goes on to say Southgate is understood to be uninterested in taking over at Old Trafford as it stands. I mean, that can change though, couldn't it? I mean, if he's sort of asked to take over United after the Euros, would he still have that attitude, or would he think, yeah, okay, I'm never going to get a better offer in club football? It goes on to talk about Southgate transformed the England setup. This is from the Eye, with Dan Ashworth, of course. Brailsford also worked with both Ashworth and Southgate in an advisory capacity and retains a professional admiration for the duo, having continued to collaborate on several other projects. Ratcliffe's perception of Southgate is understood to be more simple. The Manchester-born billionaire sees it as a real coup. If United can poach England's coach, a sign of the power they would wield as a football club. Really? Getting England's coach would show you the sign of the power that Manchester United have? Did Liverpool show their power when they got Roy Hodgson? Was that a coup? He was in fact, was that, we're getting that the wrong way around? How did that work? Did he go from England to Liverpool the way around? I can't even remember. Let's have a look here. Sorry, it was the other way around when it was Liverpool to England. But even so, I mean, Roy Hodgson at England was a bit of Roy Hodgson at, well, you could argue Roy Hodgson at England. Roy Hodgson at Liverpool was a bit of a disaster. Don't think that showed, oh wow, he's a great manager. He goes on and he manages England. Look at some of the England managers we've had in the past. I mean, if United had got Steve McLaren as manager, would that be a coup? Would getting Fabio Capello, I know he's a very good manager, would that be a great coup? I don't think so. Sven-Göran Eriksson, back in the day, would that have been a great coup after the England job? No. Just because you've managed England doesn't mean that you're the best manager around. I mean, a lot of managers who have managed England, some of them haven't even won out. I don't think Steve McLaren ever won anything. Gareth Southgate certainly didn't win anything. Gareth Southgate's best achievement in football, I think, was mid-table with Middlesbrough. Then he got relegated. Then he got sacked when we were in the Championship. He's never managed in the Champions League. He's never managed the transfer budget successfully, brought in good players and seen success on the back of it. He's never done anything where you go, okay, look at what he's achieved. The best achievements he's got, I'm talking about club level, or international level, where he's got to a semi-final of the World Cup, a quarter-final of the World Cup, the final of the Euros, and at one point third place, I think, in the Nations League. He then, however, got relegated from the Nation League, as Stephen Alson always says, as one of the few managers who's been relegated from the Premier League and the Nations League. Also, when he scratched beneath the surface of these international cup runs, he's very seldom beaten a very good side. You look at the World Cup run in 2018, I think, was it Colombia on penalties? I think they were missing some key players, though, was probably his biggest achievement there. Lost to Croatia, of course, despite taking the lead. Then you look at the Euros, beating an underperforming Germany team was the biggest achievement. Lost to Italy in the final. Then you look at the last World Cup. I don't think there was anyone England beat along the way to that quarter-final who was particularly good. And then you got up against a very good French team, but his tactical decisions made zero sense. Giving Marcus Rashford, who's your joint top scorer, 5 minutes. Playing Raheem Sterling, who not trained. Taking off Bukayo Saka, who's absolutely destroying the France defence. I mean, I just don't see the clamour for Gareth Southgate. Yes, they might have worked with him in the past or know what he's about in the England setup and what he's done there, which is very good. Does that make you good enough to manage Manchester United? Absolutely not. I think it's ludicrous. And I think he'd be a disaster as a Manchester United manager. I really do. I don't care how much Dave Brailsford and Dan Ashworth and Sir Jim Ratcliffe admire him. He'd be a yes man. We need more than that. Can you imagine Gareth Southgate going toe-to-toe with Pep Guardiola and winning? Can you imagine him getting to an FA Cup final against City and winning? I can't. I don't think there's any chance of that happening whatsoever. Now, listen, you may argue that Erik ten Hag isn't the right guy. You may argue that he's not the one to get us challenging for league titles or whatever. You may have a case there. I'll tell you something though. I'd be a lot more confident with Erik ten Hag as my manager than I would with Gareth Southgate. I'm a ten Hag fan. I want ten Hag to stay. But if you replace him with Gareth Southgate, that would be an absolutely ludicrous decision. And I think you'd lose a lot of the fans. It's the one thing I see a lot of United fans agreeing on. We don't want Gareth Southgate. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know if you do or don't want Gareth Southgate. Let us know what you think about Luke Shaw as well. Back tomorrow with the Paper Talk outside Old Trafford. That's not a word. Outside Old Trafford. Hopefully, the weather will have perked up a little bit because it's still drizzly here in Salford. I'm Jay Motty. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And a big thank you to everyone who helps us get over the 750,000 mark with subscribers. We do appreciate it. And thanks for watching.